From a daring escape in a quiet Wisconsin police station to a brutal midnight raid inside New Jersey's only women's prison, here are 4 shocking moments involving female inmates that were all caught on camera. Staring with Amber Gonzalez. Amber Gonzalez was just 30 years old when she shocked local police with a quick and clever escape that was caught on surveillance footage. Her story began on September 14, 2018, in Waukesha, Wisconsin. She had been arrested for stealing a cell phone from a hotel cleaning cart. The hotel was the Baymont Inn on Moreland Boulevard. Once arrested, she was taken to the Waukesha police station on Delafield Street. There, the officers told her she could either post bail for a previous drug-related warrant or be moved to county jail.
Police arrested 30-year-old Amber Gonzalez for theft at the Baymont Hotel on Moreland in Waukesha Friday afternoon and took her to the Waukesha Police Department holding cell. She's seen here on video, left alone with her cell phone to try to arrange bail and a ride home from the police department. But in between checking text messages, she's seen wriggling and tugging at her cuff, and though it was on its tightest setting, according to police, the 97-pound Gonzalez is able to pull her hand through the cuff and quickly leave the holding area and escape outside.
Inside the station's holding room, things took a strange turn. Gonzalez was handcuffed to the wall and left alone for a short while. Worried about going to jail and being kept away from her children, she stayed calm and looked for a way out. In an unexpected move that felt like something from a superhero movie, she quietly slipped out of the handcuffs. Then she noticed a set of keys hanging on the holding room door handle. She used those keys to unlock the door and walked right out of the station around 4:40 p.m. And yes, she took the keys with her. After escaping, she moved quickly through nearby backyards and headed to a tobacco outlet plus grocery store. She used a phone there to call a man who picked her up in a white SUV.
According to Waukesha police, Gonzalez didn't exactly walk out the front doors here. She found an emergency exit. The police didn't want to show us where that is for security reasons. According to the complaint, she walked through yards to a gas station where she met up with a truck driver, and the two went back to the same Waukesha hotel where he paid her for sex. Police rearrested her there barely an hour after her escape, after they got a tip she'd returned to the hotel. This time, she was booked into the Waukesha County Jail, where she was bailed out Monday.
Later, they went back to the Baymont Inn, the same place where she had been arrested earlier. In exchange for $80, she performed oral sex on him. Hotel staff recognized her and called the police. When they arrived, they saw the man leaving her hotel room. At first, he claimed they were friends, but he later admitted that they had met for prostitution. Gonzalez was arrested again at the hotel. This time, she faced a felony escape charge that could have led to 6 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. But the court decided to give her 2 years of probation instead. Edna Mahan Prison. In January 2021, inside Edna Mahan Correctional Facility in New Jersey, something shocking happened that would later become national news. This prison is the only one in the entire state meant for women. On the night of January 11th, more than a dozen correctional officers carried out what many call one of the most violent prison raids ever caught on camera.
Multiple officers have been criminally charged and dozens suspended at New Jersey's women's facility after prisoners said they were brutally beaten by staff. Newly released video shows some of what happened that night. Tensions had been rising for weeks. Some staff had been assaulted, union officials said, while prisoners reported mistreatment by officers. In January, surveillance video captured a prisoner throwing an unknown liquid from her cell. Officers said urine and feces had been hurled at them in recent weeks. Another woman pulled from her room was Desiree De Silva.
Why would y'all punch on me like that? for no reason. Like, y'all literally was just punching on me. For what?
Officials later said she suffered a broken right orbital bone. Agila Nelson said she was sexually assaulted. Video appeared to capture her protesting a body search.
Yo, why is it a man ripping my clothes off? Why is it a man ripping my clothes off? Why is you grabbing my titties? Why is you grabbing my titties?
Stop resisting!
Why is you grabbing my titties? Why is you grabbing my titties?
Over the next hour and a half, these officers, dressed in riot gear, forcefully entered cells and assaulted several inmates. It was a dark night filled with screams, injuries, and serious violations of human rights.
New Jersey's only women's prison is back in the headlines again after a correctional police officer was arrested this week and charged with second-degree sexual assault. Details described in the complaint warrant appear like the officer allegedly raped an inmate last month on September 16th.
The incident didn't happen out of nowhere. This prison had been in trouble for years. There were already more than 40 complaints of sexual abuse reported by female inmates against the staff between 2010 and 2020.
10 officers total have been charged with a range of crimes, from assault to allegedly failing to film key moments of the incident. Garcia's lawyer denied wrongdoing. Bethea could not be reached for comment.
We must hold accountable all parties responsible.
Prisoners said the man who was in charge of the facility, Associate Administrator Sean St. Paul, was also present that night. St. Paul has been sued by male prisoners at least 3 times in recent years. One said St. Paul broke his arm. The others said he failed to stop violent officers. One lawsuit was dismissed on procedural grounds. State officials broadly denied the accusations in another and declined to comment on the third. St. Paul didn't respond to requests for comment, and he has not been charged over the violence in January.
After all of this, many of the officers filed false reports. One claimed that an inmate had tried to punch him in the stomach, but body camera footage showed she never even moved aggressively. Their lies were exposed because some of the officers forgot they were wearing cameras. That's when the truth finally came out. As a result, 14 officers were indicted in September 2022. Charges included aggravated assault, misconduct, and tampering with records. Each officer received a sentence between 5 and 10 years and fines of up to $150,000. Shannon Hoffman.
Security video has now been released in the case of an OPP officer who was convicted of assaulting a woman outside of a holding cell in Aurelia in 2019. Constable Bailey Nichols was found guilty last month of assault causing bodily harm for choking 43-year-old Shannon Hoffman and pinning her against the bars of her cell.
On September 7, 2019, she was arrested near Studebaker's beachside bar in Aurelia, Ontario for public intoxication. This seemed like a small issue at first. She was taken to a police station and later moved to a holding cell. But what happened next, all caught on the jail's security camera, was disturbing. The officer involved was an 8-year veteran of the Ontario Provincial Police named Bae Nichols. When Hoffman arrived at the cell, she was asked to remove her jewelry. She struggled to take off her necklace, and Officer Nichols lost her patience. Instead of helping calmly, Nichols pulled violently on the necklace, breaking it. Hoffman was shocked and visibly upset. But things didn't stop there. Nichols then tried to remove a ring from Hoffman's finger. When Hoffman pulled her hand back and touched the officer's wrist, Nichols snapped.
The video shows that after the altercation, Hoffman touched the back of her neck and blood was seen on her hand. The SIU became involved 7 months later and Nichols was charged in 2021. The judge noted Nichols was seen cleaning up the blood and removing the bloody toilet paper left behind. Court documents also reveal she then waited roughly 20 minutes to contact her supervisor and failed to complete a mandatory use of force report. The OPP says Nichols is currently on an unrelated leave.
She shoved Hoffman hard against the cell bars and placed her hand around Hoffman's throat. The video shows Nichols holding her like that for 4 full seconds. Hoffman tried to push the officer's hand away but couldn't. Another officer entered the room and quickly helped remove Nichols's hand. They then placed Hoffman fully inside the cell. Moments later, Hoffman touched the back of her head and found blood. She had a deep cut that needed 5 staples at the hospital. At first, the incident was covered up. Nichols cleaned the blood and removed toilet paper used to stop the bleeding. She didn't tell her supervisor right away and also failed to file the required use of force report. It took over a year before anything was done. But when the video evidence surfaced, it became clear that this was a serious case of police abuse. In January 2021, Officer Nichols was officially charged with assault, causing bodily harm. Tori Smith. Tori Smith was 31 years old when she made a bold and surprising move that almost worked. It happened in November 2009, and the entire escape was recorded by the prison's surveillance system. Smith was in a New Orleans jail and was facing an aggravated battery charge after a violent incident with her boyfriend. She had just been brought into the jailhouse and was going through the usual booking process when something unexpected happened. A police officer, who was in a rush to grab a document, made a serious mistake. He left not one but two important doors unlocked. The officer had already brought in another suspect about 45 minutes earlier. While trying to go back and retrieve an affidavit, he opened the outer jail door but didn't lock it behind him. He did the same with the interior door. These two doors led directly into the jail's central lockup area. It only took 1 minute for Smith to take her chance. She told the jail staff she needed to use the bathroom. Instead of heading there, she walked toward the door that led to the transfer room. She pushed it open and walked out through the outer door as if nothing was wrong. It was fast, smooth, and almost looked planned like a scene in a heist film. Once outside, surveillance footage caught her climbing a fence on the 2800 block of Perdido Street. The camera couldn't follow her beyond that point. For a few moments, it seemed like she had pulled off a perfect escape. But freedom didn't last long. A nurse saw her climbing the fence and quickly informed the guards. Just 1 day later, Smith was found at Huntington Park Apartments on Crowder Boulevard. She was arrested again and brought back to jail, now facing her original battery charge plus a new one. And that's all we have for today's episode. But now YouTube thinks that you're going to enjoy this next video even more, so might as well check it out.